Happy Saturday, everyone, and welcome to another episode of One-on-One with Sam Holt. And today's super special guest is Kacey Kasem, the one and only, the wonderful. You know her from writing for the Fantasy Footballers on her own show, hosting Get Real with Kacey Kasem on the DAP network. Kacey, how are you? It's been a minute since we've hung out.
For real. I'm great. Even better to be able to spend Saturday, talking to you. So yeah, real excited to be here. Yay.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I feel like we were just talking a little bit off air, but it's kind of already been a crazy whirlwind of free agency. We'll get into all of that, but are you just trying to catch your breath? Because I feel like I am.
Yeah, I this time is like an exciting time, but it's also like a really stressful time because you're like everything that you thought was going to happen, your ideas of who was going to go where is just right out the window. So now you have to like regroup, and unless you're one of those magical people who's like, oh yeah, I called that, but I'm never one of those people. So
me neither. I'm not magical in any sense of the word in that way. But let's talk more free agency in a little bit. I really want to talk more about your new show, Get Real with Kacey Kasem, because it's new as of September, right?
Yeah, it dropped. Yeah, I would say, I think September is right. It's been a while in my brain. But yeah, September.
You've already had so many good people on. You've had Matthew Berry on, you've had Matt Harmon, James Coe, Peter Howard, to name a few of the stellar bunch that you've had on. You've even had on our friends Troy King and Lauren Carpenter. Like you've talked to a ton of people. First, what made you think, I need to get onto this next level of podcasting, which I'm grateful that you did. I love hearing more from you. But what made you take the jump and start that up?
Well, during the whole quarantine COVID stuff, I was bored, like everybody. And I was like, I really want to do something, try to get into some other form of media besides just writing. And so I actually started a podcast with my friend JJ that kind of fizzled out, I guess you could say, after a while, because it's a lot more work, doing a podcast than you think it is. And so like both having, 9-to-5 jobs and families and stuff, it was just not going to get out quick enough because of, time sensitivity and everything. And then getting on with the footballers, also added an extra layer of things I was having to do. So I was like, I want to do something that is, evergreen content, something that you can listen to no matter when, and it's going to apply, So I know that back in the day, like Matt Harmon was doing his podcast, Backyard Banter, which was, talking to people in the industry, and it was really dope. And I was like, man, I really wish there was something like that right now. And I know that there are shows where people talk to other people in the industry, but I have all these questions just starting out in podcasting and being relatively new to the writing game. Oh, I really want to have kind of a selfish view and ask them questions that I want to know the answers to, but I know that other people have the same questions I do. And to see somebody like, the Fantasy Footballers, or see somebody from, NFL Network or, Yahoo or whatever come on and talk. And they basically started out, where everybody else is at, when they first start out. It was something I really wanted to do. So I knew I wanted to do the one-on-one interview type thing. I have, generalized anxiety. And so before I go on podcasts or before I talk to people, my heart's racing a million miles an hour, but I kind of wanted to do the podcast to try to help with my anxiety. And I'm not really sure it is, but
no, I totally empathize with that, because I'm a closeted introvert is the way I like to put it, because in so many different ways, like I manage a team at work, so I have to be like on, and then, podcasting, you have to be on all the time. And then depending on your friend groups, you're either, the quiet one at that day or you're the loud one that day. And there's so many times when I feel like I have to turn it on and then turn it off. And it's navigating that is so difficult and totally anxiety inducing. But in a way, I think that for me, podcasting more has made me sound more confident in like different meetings that I go to at work, or just in explaining your opinion when you're going back and forth with someone on just a random debate, just in conversation, because you've had time to be eloquent and come up with your, good thought, your good take on whatever. No, this is the best donut spot, and let me tell you why.
Exactly.
No, I love it. I also just love that, when I was listening to the Matthew Berry one in particular, I mean, you're getting all these great stories out of him. And one thing that maybe it's more nostalgic for me, or hopefully other people feel this as well, but I always loved hearing stories just from different people growing up. You know, you're sitting with your parents and you're sitting with your aunts and your uncles, and they're telling stories about their childhood, and you hear how people get from one place to another. Looking through all your episodes, they really feel like origin stories. And as someone that's also kind of a nerd, I love origin stories of anyone.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is, you know, like didn't want to like put myself in a position where I could only talk to one type of person. I wanted to be able to talk to a wide variety of people. And it is cool to see how they came up in the industry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're lucky enough to have a lot of people joining us live, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll pop up a couple questions throughout and jump to those. We've got Scott Fish actually tuning in right now.
What up, Scotty?
He also loves hearing stories on podcasts. Love you, Scotty. And speaking of Scott Fishbowl, you've been in it quite a few times. Last year was my first, so I'm still very much a novice.
Well, that's okay because I've been in it 6 times, and yeah, you know, but like it's a big deal. So there are a lot of people. I like to just tell myself, you know, you know, I went out there and tried as hard as I could. And
good my game. All. I was there.
Know, I tried, you know. So yeah,
for sure. But how long have you been doing fantasy? Just in general, like go from like how long you've been playing versus how long you've been an analyst.
Right on. I think 2012 was the first year I played fantasy football. My friend was like, we need one extra person. I know you love football, big Cowboys fan. So sure. No idea what I'm doing. So jumped in that league, and you know, the story of, oh, well, I won my first league and that got me hooked. Well, that's what happened to me. So I was like, okay. And then I never really fully thought of like even trying to attempt to do anything in this space. I was more of a fan. Like the reason I got into Scott Fishbowl is because I was a fan of her fantasy football, and that's how I got into that. So I started out on Twitter when Twitter was first starting out, and so I was able to see all these people grow like that, like Brandon Marianne Lee and all of them. And so that kind of helped me, I guess, get networking kind of helps, you know. So about 3 years ago, I think 2017, Ryan Hallam with Fighting Chance Fantasy, he just reached out to me on Twitter because I was like, I don't do any of the like content side of it. I just talk about fantasy. And he's like, have you ever thought about writing? And I was like, not really, but let's go. And it just went from there.
Yeah, I love that. It's a very similar story for you. I think I started playing about the same time. I graduated college in 2010, and I started playing fantasy right in that area. So right amongst those years. And same reason, I had a big group of guy friends, and they were like, we need one person. Sam, you like football, right? I think you're a Steelers fan. And I'm like, yeah, I'll play that. And of course, I had no idea what I was doing the first season. I'm like, Julian Edelman is cute. And like, that's like the kind of way
I know. I like your name. I'm going to pick you.
You seem good. Yeah. Jordy Nelson has really blue eyes.
There you go.
And then, you know, after that, what I really started to love was like the water cooler talk that came with fantasy football in those leagues, and this level of camaraderie with my friends that was just another level of, you know, diving into each other's lives and the way that people think about strategy in fantasy football. And just thinking about that strategy was super exciting to me because it was like, okay, well, there's a rhyme and reason to everything. So there's a reason why this happens. There's a reason why this coach likes to run the ball and this one likes to pass more, and kind of dissecting that. And every year I feel like I try and peel another layer of knowledge off of it because I didn't play football, but the more I watch, the more I love.
Right. Exactly. That's just how I feel as well. It's a really interesting concept, fantasy football, for people who are on the outside looking in. But once you get in, I mean, it is like knowledge bomb.
Yeah.
Right after, you know, left after right, here, there, and everywhere in between. So
absolutely. And so then like also, how often do you get asked like, or even the conversation comes up like, oh, you're really into football. Oh, I could never follow football. Like I just don't understand it. I'm trying to hold myself back from eye rolling when I get those comments, you know what I mean? But it's like, how do you handle when people come at you with those things?
Man, my dad had 2 daughters. So, I mean, what do you expect from me? You know, like I'm the son he wished he had, you know, like he's like over here, like, yeah, so there's a reason why you married a woman. But, you know, that's basically, I mean, football is everybody's got their thing that they like, the thing that they get obsessed about. And for me and for you and for everybody who are in this space, we're obsessed with football. So we'll
Right?
make a game out of it and have fun with it,
Exactly. I mean, like, what's the other better reason besides, yeah, you're really into football. Like, okay, you're really into whatever the hell you're really into. Like, everyone has their thing. This is my thing. I'm just not quiet about this
Right.
being my thing.
Right, exactly. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's something else. Growing up, I was big into a certain band. I was joining message boards and, doing all that stuff, which is basically the same thing that the Twitter space is. It's like one big mesh of everybody that's into the same thing. So
Yeah, I know. And we're all a part of each other's community now. I feel like the fantasy community, like, is just in my experience, has been very welcoming for me. I mean, I feel like, everyone's trying to help each other, uplift each other. I love the Follow Fridays. I just love that everyone's trying to, shout out to the people that are doing great work. And then, that's one of the main reasons I wanted to talk to you, because you're doing great work.
thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, exactly. The space needs to lift each other up. I know that like lately, so there's been some, whatever. And I, try to call out, like, don't call out women or don't call out, people you don't like their content. You don't have to like everybody's content, but you don't have to engage with anybody, on a negative level. So yeah, all the content creators that, even though we're in the same space and we're doing the same types of things and we're quote unquote each other's competition. I mean, really, we're not. We're helping each other out. And at the end of the day, it's just a great community.
Absolutely. And then when people come into the community and they're just, the fantasy football, the weekend warriors that are playing the sport, and then they see the analysts that are going back and forth and their reasoning, they take those notes and they're like, okay, well, so-and-so said this and so-and-so said this. I will make my educated decision. At least that's how I like to think that they do it.
I mean, yeah, like I said, when I was a fan on here for as long as I was, like, I would ask numerous analysts that I trusted and just kind of make notes. You're right. Just keep it in the back of your head for when you're setting your lineups.
Absolutely. So you brought up your Cowboys earlier. How do you feel now with Dak's re-signing? Have you been watching his Instagram, seeing how he's been training? Are you excited, nervous?
I haven't been watching his stuff. Nope. I don't want to jinx anything.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
The opposite.
Yes. I mean, I listened to his press conference when they went over his deal and everything, and how they said he walked up to the stage and looked great and all this stuff. Great. No, but I'm very excited about it. Just because the Cowboy, how hard it is to get a quarterback to stick and actually be your, quarterback of, the next however many years. You want a franchise quarterback, and to be able to, not have to keep. I appreciate that. So
absolutely. I mean, and that's the thing that we see with so many teams that are just kind of playing a different quarterback every year, it feels like, or a different month. They're just trying to see how it goes with that in the system. And Dak's just such a great guy when healthy, is consistent. I think that he's also now got a lot of really great weapons at his disposal. I mean, how excited were you to get CeeDee Lamb paired up with him last year?
Man, I was very excited about that. Like, we all know that was a situation that never in a million years we thought could actually be a thing, like he dropped to us. So when they took him, I was like so excited. And at the same time, that, in the back of your mind, you're like, do we really need a wide receiver? But I mean, we did need a wide receiver because that's CeeDee Lamb. If it was anybody else, I don't know. But CeeDee Lamb, he's and I'm a big Michael Gallup fan, huge Michael Gallup fan, but like, sorry, I was excited when CeeDee came in.
No, for sure. And I think that, people go back and forth, and, as analysts, we take these names and we're like, well, so-and-so's not going to eat into their targets, or they are going to eat into each other's targets. I think all of them kind of, that receiving core, do a lot of different things really well.
Right.
So I don't really see one of them completely dropping off the face of the earth, but I do see them helping each other with a Dak that's healthy and now coming back. And, probably when they get a re-sign of the contract, I like to think that they're happier, I feel wanted, happy.
Yeah, they should, especially if you're gonna get a bag that big. Like, that's some good money right there.
Absolutely. And then someone that also, is better when he's happy, I would say, is Ezekiel Elliott. So Ezekiel Elliott owners are probably happy that he's back, and I think that he should, hopefully come back true to form this coming year. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would like to see that. I think that he may not get back to his 100% old self. I don't know. What you could tell when he got a little bit of rest, when he took the game off, when he was injured, when, Pollard would go in for him every now and then, that made him so much better. Just having that little. So if they can do that, then I can see, I can see Zeke getting back to his form.
Yeah, and that was really exciting to see Pollard have such success when Zeke was sitting out. So it probably also helps too to think, okay, if I'm not in, if I need to take, those rest reps, which I think for a runner of his style, he needs to be rested and not be 110%, the bell cow. I think that does help him. It has to help his psychology playing too.
I mean, it looked like it, so here's hoping,
I know. Here's hoping.
Here's hoping.
So Cowboys are sitting at the 110 in the first round. Have you even gotten that far as to thinking who you're hoping for? Is there a position that you think that they really need to address? Because we just talked about wide receivers are stacked.
Right.
It'd be crazy if Jerry Jones was like, I need another fast guy. Like, that would be insane.
They keep saying, well, if Kyle Pitts falls, stop, don't do that.
Don't tease me.
All right, so not really. I haven't looked at it too much. I know that Dallas's defense is atrocious, and I want them to get safety help for sure. I want them to, I mean, their O-line is not the O-line of yesteryear either. So if they can improve the O-line in one of those rounds too, like, please, then yeah. But defense, I think they need to really chip away at that and get some guys in this draft.
Absolutely. I mean, it sounds like they've got plenty of other positions locked away. They're good. If they can just shore up that protection, one for Dak, and then on the other side of the ball, get them some time so they don't have to be, just chucking it all across the field because their defense isn't putting up numbers. They need to address those issues immediately.
Right.
No, absolutely love that. So of other rookies, I mean, I think that all of us are really just talking nothing else but Kyle Pitts. This guy, this athlete, he's everything. And I think that when you are looking at this draft and after the moves that were made yesterday, you're wondering who's going to be the one to take him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. They made a joke about how, you could see Kittle and Pitts next to each other. That's why they moved up, this, that, and the other. But yeah, it is interesting to see. I think wherever he goes, that team automatically gets a million times better. It's gonna be nice. Hopefully he gets paired up with a quarterback that can utilize him correctly and a coach that can utilize him correctly, because that doesn't happen as often as you would like in the NFL.
Absolutely. One mock that I saw, because it's just so fun to click, roll the dice and just see these mock drafts kick out players to different teams. I saw one where he went to the Bengals, and I was thinking him with Joe Burrow would be super fun and tasty for fantasy.
Yeah, that would be that would be a very nice get for them.
Oh my goodness, it would be a good stack. Of the free agency moves, and again, there was a big one yesterday, multiple big ones yesterday. It felt like a scene out of draft day, and the way that picks were going flying
everywhere.
Absolutely. Are there moves at free agency yesterday and all over aside that caught your eye as a favorite, or really just kind of hit you in the heart and you're like, no, why did that happen?
My favorite was Jonnu Smith to the Patriots until Hunter Henry also went to the Patriots. So right? I was like, as a Jonnu Smith lover and a person who has multiple teams with Jonnu Smith on it, I was excited about that for a minute. But I like Kenny Golladay to Giants is a really good one for me. Obviously I'm not a Giants fan, but they got a lot better now on that offense, finally having somebody there that looks like Kenny Golladay.
Yeah, no, he's that strong veteran presence, and hopefully he can help Daniel Jones get better because he's the guy. Yeah. So that's not changing, and the additional weapons should help secure that offense. I think that there are times and years when we're going through fantasy and we're thinking, okay, I think this is the year the Giants put it back together, and then Saquon got hurt, and we're like, I guess it's not. So
yeah, and the same thing goes for I think that Ryan Fitzpatrick when he's in Washington, I think that it is going to be what they needed, that spark to get them going. Because there's weapons there too. And I think that they can only improve with him being there as their quarterback. I'm excited about that, even though he's in the same division as the Cowboys. Sweet. That just means I get to watch him more,
Yeah, there you go. No, I love that. And I was excited about that move too. Excited for Logan Thomas, for Tone Gibson. I'm just excited. Terry McLaurin. Finally, we're going to get some good consistency for them. And I think that's what all of us see when we see someone like Fitz, is this solid, consistent beard that
Yes.
just doesn't
Yes.
stop and brings magic every time.
That's great. It's great. It's great for football. It's great for everything. And it's really great for fantasy football now, because if you held on to him in Dynasty and didn't like trade him away, or, whatever you had to do, if you kept him, then you're excited about where he ended up.
Absolutely. I think one spot that I'm just kind of scratching my head and wondering what they're doing, but the Texans have just been given away Deshaun Watson's, assets, and then also just stacking up at running back in places that didn't seem to make sense. So is that just a pool of like, you're seeing these moves and you're like, I just want no part? Or what's your first take when you're seeing all this happen to them?
Ooh, buddy, Houston. God, who knew Houston was going to be the town in Texas that was going to give us the problems, right? Because not my town. Yeah, Houston is a mess. We all, like you just described it perfectly. It's a mess, and do I want a part of that offense? Yeah, it's going to be a highly. It's got to be cheaper than it was, obviously. So, like, if you're going to sell those players away, if you're going to give those players away, then you're going to expect probably a downward trend right now.
Right.
I have Watson shares that I'm like, what the heck do I do with them?
Oh my God. Me too. Let's talk
some
this
leagues
out. What do I do?
Some leagues I see him go for like peanuts, and then some leagues I see him go for like what I would have valued him before allegations came out against him and everything else. And then I'm like, I don't know. I've tried and it's just not happening. So I don't know. I might just hold my breath and ride this one out. I don't know.
Right. I know it's kind of one of those things where it's an ever developing story, obviously news wise. And then they went and signed Tyrod Taylor. So it's like, okay, they're ensuring themselves a quarterback to be starting next season. So as a dynasty owner, you're like, well, what do I do with this, in a vacuum, amazing player who's, fantastic at the position. He would be top 5 on most people's boards. What do I do with this and how do I value this in trades? And I have him in a dynasty league that I've been in for 8 years, and I don't know what to do with him as my number one.
You guys give us some tips and tricks here, because we're struggling.
I know, right? I kind of feel like, when I was structuring my dynasty leagues in particular going into last year, and it came to, the COVID season, we didn't know what was going to happen that year. I tried to structure my league in a way that, okay, if the season happens, I'm okay for this year, but I'm also okay for next year. So I've got my contracts set up so that I'm secure for this year to play with kind of the team I already had from last year. But I'm already not looking great in that I have Deshaun Watson. Aaron Jones did resign. I have him. But I also have Josh Jacobs. And he just got Kenyon Drake. Like, what do I do with my hands?
What do I do with all these running backs? Yeah. Why do you need so many?
I know, but I'm trying to find the silver lining on that one in particular. Like, Drake has had moments where he was the guy, but he's also had guys where he's just a guy on the team. So I'm kind of hoping that he's just there to take some of the pressure off Josh Jacobs, like we were saying with Pollard and Zeke.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping he's just there to rest him because he was playing through a lot of injuries last year. Jacobs was.
Yeah, they need that little insurance, I guess, and hopefully they can do the Pollard Zeke kind of thing. That's just the way it's trending nowadays. Is the bell cow backs are? We all know, we all see the downward decline of bell cow backs not being a thing anymore. So yeah, that might be a thing, and you just gotta hope that whoever you have on your roster gets some more touches, I guess. I don't know. That was like a jaw dropper.
Yeah, no. Wing and a prayer is apparently what I got to change my team name to in that league, because things are going like this all over the board. And then, the draft is going to happen. And I'm not going to know what to do with that, but it is what it is. How are you going to be prepping for the draft as it's coming up? We're hot on the heels of it. It's almost there.
Yeah. So this weekend is like the first weekend in a long time that I've been able to just be home by myself. My wife went out of town to visit her mom. So I've got all the time in the world to like really hit the books, I guess. I'm one of those procrastinators and high school, college, everything, wait till the last minute to study for any test. And then, C's get degrees, I hear, and that's true. So do D's. Hey, but yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do is probably hit it hard tomorrow, which hard for me is like, I'm going to like do a little bit of research, but I just have to keep my eyes peeled. I'm not the best person at knowing what's going on with college football players because I don't watch college football, and so I've got, you know who you can go to for advice, and so I have that, those people in my pocket that I can talk to, and I'm just gonna, for the draft, like go on some shows with people, talk about the draft, and figure some stuff out, and maybe learn some stuff from people, because that's what I'm trying to do, is every day try to learn a little bit more, because there's so much in this space to learn.
Absolutely. I just did not too long ago, I did an IDP podcast and a Devi focused podcast, and just learning about Devi. Like, I don't do Devi at all. I don't know if you do, but
I tried it once and I jumped out.
It's a whole other beast, and I'm excited to try it, or maybe pitch it to my other dynasty league and be like, hey, what if we did this? Because they're always talking about having like a taxi squad on your league of like players that maybe they do and don't work out. But my own thought on that has always been, well, if you like them enough, they should just be on your team. Like, why are you letting them wait? It's like when someone gets my number and then they only call me on like Friday at like 10, and I'm like, no, call me like, on a Tuesday at 5. Don't call me like really late at night. This isn't cool.
Well, I didn't think you were ready to like date, so I was giving you time to wait. Just like I don't think you're ready to play football yet in the NFL, but maybe.
Yeah, but I think you needed some time to marinate. You're not ready yet.
You're just not ready. And I've got guys on my taxi squad that I don't even know who they are. Like, I should probably just drop them. You know what I mean? So.
No, for sure. But yeah, so besides like things like Debbie, you said you had your foot in, you're out. Is there a favorite you have, dynasty or redraft or DFS even?
Okay. For the longest time, redraft was a very important part of my life. But I've been more swayed by dynasty as of late, which I'm not the best at. I mean, I did win one league this year, so hey, what up?
Hey, there you go. Win's a win. W is a W.
Is a win. And dynasty, I think I'm just, because it's so new to me, I think that's why I enjoy it more as of late, just because it's like a refreshing thing to have like all this new stuff that I want to tackle, but redraft, I am a big redraft girl. I'll always be a big redraft girl. I have one home league that's still redraft, so I mean, that's gonna probably be going on until I die. So
that's how I want to play fantasy until I die. Just keep setting my lineup, and then in my will, it's going to be written in who gets to manage my teams. Because it's not all going to one person. Everyone's going to get a different team that's handed down to them.
I wonder how much you can get for Frank Gore whenever that time comes, because I'm sure he'll still be playing.
I'm sure he will too. And a side by side of like Ryan Fitzpatrick in the league,
and then Frank Gore is
the same. He's
that man's been a grown man since that man was born. Like,
I know, right? Can you imagine like Frank Gore is like a toddler? He's like a full grown man. But he's amazing and a beast. Yes. Tell someone that will be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, definitely. For sure.
But so how many leagues are you in then?
So quite a few less than normal. I decided I didn't do the COVID route where people are jumping into new leagues. I kind of like got out of the ones that I wasn't really paying attention to anyway. I know when people say they have like 500 leagues, I'm like, cool, tell me who's like on every single one of your rosters. I need to know, right? You're not going to know who you have. I just for like, there comes a point in time where you burn out and you just need to like focus on the things that are important, and having 20 fantasy leagues just wasn't important to me enough over like mental health and, and
free
my
time.
Family and everything, so like
the social life.
So 4 dynasty leagues. I did join one so I dropped a few during the off season, and then just asked someone if I could join there. They had an orphan. I was like, sure, whatever. And that's just because I like the people that are in the league. So 4 of those, 1 redraft, and then hopefully Scott Fishbowl for the 7th time.
Yeah, let's go. How did you feel about that tight end premium format last year? That just kind of, when I was doing mocks leading up to that, it just kind of felt like, okay, I'm ready. And then it happened and I was like, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
Like the whole draft did not go how I thought it would.
No, I totally get that too. Like I think I had a bunch of like mid-range tight ends. And I mean, it kind of worked out for me, because if you don't get one of the top guys, obviously you're just going to have a mid-range kind of guy that blows up one game and then does nothing the next game. Tight end premium, I love tight ends. I think that they're just, I wanted a way for them to be more important to the game of fantasy, even though like they're not as important in the game of whatever, so we're over here sitting here looking at it and trying to figure out ways. So the tight end premium is cool because you gotta kind of do a little bit extra work, like you said. And yeah, I think it's becoming more of a thing though in leagues now. Like a couple of my leagues are implementing it, like let's do tight end premium. So I don't know, Scott seems to be the one who like sets some trends.
Yeah, he's definitely a trendsetter. We love Scott for that. But I feel like outside of some people like Travis Kelce, I think the tight end premium is just like not quite the same. It's like having an extra wide receiver on your slot.
Yeah. So you got to load up on those top guys, or
exactly. One thing for me that I got way more into last year, and I was in 10 leagues last year, and I think now I'm in about 4 dynasty and like 2 other consistent redraft leagues. But one thing that I was getting way more into last year than years before is the super flex and having 2 QB formats. It really changes the game far more than your standard everyday league.
It does. I really like it. Like super flex is just going to become the norm, as just like PPR became the norm.
Absolutely.
Standard is not really standard anymore. PPR is standard. So, but yeah, the 2 quarterbacks, the super flex, all of that. I'm a big proponent of that because like we just recently added it in the last couple of years to our redraft league, and everybody was like, yeah, because it's with quarterbacks. It's fun. It's fun to do that and be able to watch all those games and be like, okay, because you have multiple quarterbacks playing, so like.
Absolutely. I think it also kind of helps just overall value of other players in that it kind of takes the top off the draft. So when you're in that first round, you can predetermine who the top receiver, the top running backs are going to go early. But the big thing there is, okay, who's going to take the first quarterback first?
Right.
And then when's the next run? Because after, Patrick Mahomes, I feel like after like the third quarterback goes, a run happens.
Yeah, it does. I mean, especially if you're playing in like home leagues or like leagues with people that aren't like super obsessed with fantasy football like we are, you tend to see a lot of different things, like just like crazy out there stuff that you would have never in a million years thought was going to happen. And thanks, Scott. Now I lost track of what I was saying.
I know. Sorry. I just had to throw this one up. Scott joining us and saying Scott Fishbowl has been super flexed since 2010. So I love it.
Those runs though. Yeah. Like those runs. You guys have got me saying those runs on multiple podcasts this week. And that is not something, it's like you cut that into okay. Anyway, but anyway, the quarterback runs are real. And, it's just you have to in Superflex just shoot your shot, I guess. Like with Scott Fishbowl last year, I drafted Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott and then Russell Wilson like back to back, boom, boom, in the first 2 rounds because I'm like, okay, like
boom, solid.
You need something solid, but Scott Fishbowl has different rules than your normal run of the league, mill league. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you need to pay attention to how your draft's going because if you start seeing that, there are people are jumping on these guys and stuff, use that to your advantage, so.
Yeah, or be the one, in my opinion, to set the trend and get the guy too early and be double stacked at quarterback early. Go get your guy because the depth is so different, I think, now more than ever. And that wide receiver is so deep. So that's something that you can wait on and still get some great value.
For sure.
But in Superflex, it's like, I don't think it's crazy to go, quarterback right off the bat and just throw off everyone's juju in the entire draft. Like, can you imagine just sitting there top 2 quarterbacks in your first 2 picks and then everyone's like, what do I do? Go on a run. All the quarterbacks are gone. And then when that happens, when those runs happen, people fall. So then you can end up getting really good guys later.
Yeah. People forget, because people forget, I'm not looking for a running back right now. I'm trying to do this, and so you're like, sweet, I can pounce on this guy that you're like, come back to me. And those runs happen and you end up getting your guy. So just paying attention to your draft is hard to do when you're me and you're usually intoxicated for your drafts, but
that's how you're supposed to draft. So the next day you're like, why did I do that?
Why? That guy retired 3 years ago, but
it's going to be his year.
It's definitely.
No, I had my coworker yesterday. What did he ask me? He said, he was just trying to pull random guys' names in football because I was looking at my phone, seeing the trades happening, and I was like, I don't have anyone to talk football with because all the
Yeah.
people I work with don't follow football the same way
Right.
that I do. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like, and he's like, what, did Joe Namath join a team? And I'm like, that's not a thing.
Stop.
Stop, you're ruining it. Like, yeah, it was just, he's like, there's only a couple people I know. I'm like, well, they're from way long ago, so stop it. You're just upsetting me now.
Right on.
Is your group of friends like similar to you in that they're just full on in the football realm, or are you the one that's outside the norm in your group?
I'm the one that's outside the norm in my group. Like, okay, most of my friends like football and they'll watch it if it's on, but they're not like obsessed with it like I am. Have to watch the Cowboys game, have to catch this game, that game, play fantasy football, do all this jazz. I started my redraft league that I was talking about is actually an all women's redraft league that we do live drafts, and so
Love it.
yeah, so I got all my friends involved because I'm like, yo, y'all, the reason they don't want to play is because they're scared, right? And
Mhm.
let's be in a environment that we all feel like comfortable and good in. You can ask me questions. Like Katie Flower is in that league with, and she's out there giving advice to all, she's not trying to pull the wool over their eyes. She's actually giving them straight up good advice. And like,
Yeah.
it's really cool to watch like my sister or my wife or
Mhm.
whoever, like really like start knowing more players and getting involved in it and playing up against me and beating me and whatever. It's fun.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more fun. And I feel like, like sports, like in any other, you know, outside activity of your norm, every one of your friends is always into something different. But I think it's fun when you can educate someone on the reasons why you like something so that, when you say something, it's not totally off the wall, but also they can ask more well-informed questions of you. Like, okay, so because this happened, that means it affects something else. Yes, it does. So then you can have that kind of fun educational conversation together. And then even with some women that I know that are, like you said, like just kind of scared to learn more about football, or they just kind of brush it off like, oh, it's too complicated, I'll never understand. I'm like, you give me 15 minutes and
Yeah.
I will give you the basics so that you can go up to any like meeting that any guys are talking in the office and they're talking about football, and you can drop this and walk away and they'll be like, what? Like, let me give you this knowledge bomb.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. It is nice when you hear somebody, your ears perk up because you hear them talking fantasy football and you're like, I got an opinion. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Hey, over here.
Right here. Hey. Yeah, me.
Yeah, someone being like, so do you think the Rams are going to be any good this year? And I'm like, please pick me.
Yeah, right. Jumping up and down.
I have something to say. But no, I think it's more fun. And then, the more women that I see in the fantasy space and like analysts like yourself that are jumping in with the knowledge. And honestly, I think that the women are the funniest. Like we have the best, like Twitter, like all of it possible. Everyone's game is so good. Everyone's hilarious.
They are. It's like, where have you people been all my life? Like,
right? I love that everyone's so empowering, but also, they have some really good witty banter of on any topic. And there's so many women that too, not just football women, like they're into all the sports. Do you follow Sweet Annie Odd? She follows like all of the sports.
Yeah, I do. My feed is all kind of messed up, but yeah, I do follow. I know I follow her, so yeah.
Yeah, no, because her hockey stuff and even like her TikTok videos are hilarious, and just being able to see everyone putting out this great content, all types of sports, is to me like something that when I was growing up, I wish I knew more of. For sure, like growing up, like we went to Mavericks games growing up, and we watched the Cowboys and all that stuff, but like. This is just crazy. What's going on now? I know it was never really like an avenue I ever saw myself going down. Like even just, I like sports. My brother played all the sports growing up. So I was always going to his practices. I was never good at sports. Like if there's like a ball thrown at me, I was just like, what? I don't know what to do. Like, and he would make fun of me. He's like, I must be adopted because you're so uncoordinated. I'm like, I know. It's not my thing. I can draw you a pretty picture. I cannot play this sport. But, if I had known kind of growing up that there were other avenues for people that are, I'm a huge fan and I love learning about the game and just being able to see all these women that are amazing analysts and hosts of these different shows. If I had known there was another way I could have gotten to that, then I would have been like, ooh, I want to sign up for all of these classes. For sure. Like 100%. The world is changing. Fantasy football is becoming such a
thing, it's just growing and growing and growing. Like, you never in a million years would think I could be a fantasy football analyst when you're a child, because it wasn't a thing when you were a child. Like you were saying about how things, have changed, and it's so cool to be able to, like, you could talk to a 15-year-old kid right now and ask them, what do you want to do when you get older? And I want to work for ESPN. I want to do the fantasy football with ESPN or whatever. It's like that blows my mind that could be an answer.
I know, absolutely. I mean, I think it's crazy too that you ask kids and they're like, I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a TikToker, I want to be
all kinds of stuff.
But the fact that these kids have this confidence, and that's definitely something that I never had as a kid, of being on a platform and just putting my face out there, like, scared the absolute crap out of me.
Oh man, and I can't even imagine. Like, those are some brutal years. Like, nah.
I know.
Hey, look at my acne all over my face, and
the braces on braces, and I had the braces that had the rubber bands too, just to keep my jaws from flying apart. So it was not a pretty time, but yeah, I'm definitely grateful that times are changing, and I think we're going to be seeing more and more women in the field and in the sport, even playing. We got to see what was her name, the kicker that just played for Vanderbilt.
And even
I know. I know. I just put myself on the spot too.
Yeah, I can see her face.
I'm just like, no, but just getting to see her be on the field, and it's so empowering. It makes me be like, I want to go out for varsity, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm 33, I can't.
Yeah, like when I was in high school, I played basketball and I ran track, and you couldn't tell looking at me today that I did either of those things, but it was a different time. Like, they just brought in pole vaulting for women when I was in high school, like my senior year, and they made me go do it, even though I had no idea what I was doing and couldn't even get off the ground, but it's just crazy to see how things are changing when it comes to women in sports. Just, keep adding to it, keep doing your thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Sarah Thomas, Kyle Senra is saving both of us right now.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it's getting to see her.
Okay, but Sarah Thomas is kind of a basic name.
I know, we should have gotten that. We should have. It wasn't out of left field.
We would have just been able to just say it, and but it wasn't out of left field. You're right.
No, but I'm also seeing pre-COVID times going out, or no, Scott Fish saying Sarah Fuller. Kyle, you got it wrong. You threw us under the bus.
Is Sarah Thomas is a swimmer? I think she swam the English Channel. I don't know.
Sarah Thomas is the rep.
There's also a swimmer named Sarah Thomas.
He's saving us on every account. Thank you so much, dude.
There's a lot of Sarahs in this world, so
there are. No, that's okay. We like them all. There's not a lot of Caseys. I like that you're a Casey.
Thank you. There's not a lot that spell their name like me either, so that's a bad thing, I think. But
no, not at all. No,
that's when people try to search for you, and they're like, first you're Kacey Kasem.
For sure. I don't know if I ever told you this, but I was supposed to be named Casey when.
Oh, really?
When I was just a little thought in a bubble, I was supposed to be named Casey, and then my parents were like, my mom said something about I was supposed to be Casey Marie. I was supposed to be both of those names, and then my mom was like, I want something that's not the two-parter. So she picked Samantha, and she's like, oh, that's such a beautiful name, Samantha. That's such a feminine, gorgeous name. Everyone calls me Sam.
Yeah.
And she's like, and now you're just Sam, and you just talk about sports. What happened to my little girl? I'm like, all girls like sports now, Mom. It's totally okay.
It's a thing that happened overnight. I know, it's kind of.
Yeah, no, I love it. What else do you have new coming up that people can get excited about, tune in for?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I have an episode with Mike Wright coming out Monday. Yeah, I was having a crap day, so he cheered me up. So you can tell at the beginning of the episode I'm pissed at the world, and then by the end of the episode it's like, oh my god, best friends. And then I also have Pat Mayo recorded as well to drop. I have a few that I'm not sure if they got saved or not. I'm getting my computer back, so my computer's been in the shop for 3 months. I'm getting it back on Tuesday.
Nice.
And chances are 3 episodes got deleted that I have recorded, but if they didn't, then Scott Pianowski, who else? Katie Flower, and then who was Ryan McDowell? Oops. And nice. Ryan McDowell. There you go. Great. So if not, hopefully we'll re-record, but So
well, get excited. Awesome. Yeah. That is exciting. Do you have anything new with the fantasy football coming out soon, or maybe around rookie time?
Yeah, we're starting to ramp back up on all the content over there. The cool part about the fantasy footballers is during this time, they're like, just take a break. If you want to write, you can. If you don't, then you don't, mentally get, where you want to
Get in the space.
Yeah, get in the space, so take a nice break. And so that's what I chose to do, is basically take a nice break. Plus they're writing about rookies and stuff right now, and I'm not the most knowledgeable about that. But yeah, we're gonna have a lot of content coming out in the next probably a couple of weeks. So just keep an eye out over there. Put out content every week over there. So just keep an eye out.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd like to plug before we wrap up today?
Do I have anything else to plug? I don't think I have anything else to plug. You said DAP Network at the beginning.
Yes.
So check that podcast network out. I'm over there with those guys, all great guys. Russ is real great over there. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you so much for coming on with me. We have to talk more. Like maybe after the draft happens, we can like overanalyze everyone's landing spot.
I would love to do that. Yes.
Love it. Thank you guys again for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please hit subscribe. And if you're not following Kacey, go and fix that. Kacey, can you give them your handle?
Yes, it's at the Kacey Kasem, and Kacey is spelled Kacey, and Kasem is Kasem, just like that guy. you know Kacey Kasem.
I love it. Thank you again so much for tuning in, guys, and stick around for more fun stuff today. Thank you.
This is